Hello and welcome to this O&DR Modurol video, Jaguar XKR Stratstone No. 23 with Racing Green extras. This is video 172 in our series of XK8 videos, and this video comes thanks to a fellow Jaguar enthusiast, Andrew Graham, and his very special Strathstone special edition. You can see here as it was delivered to him some time ago. You might have already seen this car. It's been at several car shows this year. Here you can see it at Cape Thorne Hall in Cheshire in 2022. And it doesn't look out of place in very expensive company and surroundings. You might have even seen it at Anderton Boat Lift in Northwich. Anyway, I'm going to try and break this video down into sections as normal. I'm very interested in Andrew's car, particularly as it's got some sort of rare extras on there which aren't working, and we're looking for some help. So we're going to take a quick look at Andrew's car, then the extras. Well, let's take a look at the current value. There's a couple of cars for sale at the moment. This does represent the top end of the value of XKRs. X100s, because it's the late edition with the extras and it's a special edition, so this is the top end of car values, I would think. So it's interesting in that respect. And finally, a bit of a section asking for your help to try and understand how these extras work and maybe get them working again on Andrew's car, or at least explain how they work. I'm really interested in that on a personal level. Okay, so Strathstone 23, number 23. Andrew's car is a very desirable late and high specification car, being a Strathstone. That represents some of the last X100 manufactured. Strathstone basically took the final few cars, added some extra bits on them and tried to sell them. Obviously it was quite tricky at the time because the X150 was basically coming out very shortly, so it's trying to encourage people to buy the last few, so bolting all the extras on. Strathstone, if you're not aware, is based in Mayfair in London, and it's basically Jaguar's showcase dealership. It's a very expensive area of London. They have some very expensive cars, and it's a very, very nice place. Andrew's car then is number 23 of 30. There were 30 cars total in this limited edition. It's very exclusive in that respect, plus some other things. They're not all the same colour, etc. There were actually 16 coupes and 14 convertibles. All the cars, as I say, are the last of the line, so therefore they're white badged 4.2 S's, with the Strathstone options being, the major one being the Arden Sports body kit, sports exhaust. I think there's some mild suspension modifications, but there are no engine mods. As I say, they're available in several colours. The colours that were available as a 2005 model year car, there were some unique 4.2 litre S colours: copper black, bay blue, frost blue and satin silver. But there are also some existing colours: platinum, midnight, Jaguar Racing Green and quartz. I have seen this car on the internet in copper black, bay blue, I think satin silver and Jaguar Racing Green, possibly midnight, black metallic, but I'm not quite sure. It's really interesting special edition in that there's very few cars the same colour, coupe, convertible, etc. So it's very limited numbers in colours. If you're interested to learn more about the Strathstone edition, I've done a video particularly about that in a bit more detail. That's video 138. I'll put a link in the top right hand corner if you're interested in that. You might have noticed, if you're keen on the X100's Watchtower videos, it doesn't currently have the correct wheels. It's sitting on 20-inch BBS Detroit alloy wheels. It should have the correct wheels being 20-inch Oz Michelangelo split rims, but they are actually present with the car. Andrew's got them in his garage. They need refurbing, and he actually prefers the look of the Detroit. Well, I do as well. I really think these Detroit wheels are the best wheel to have on your X100. There is a lot of debate about being 20 inches the ride, being hard, etc. But as looks go, you don't think you can beat them, and they're very easy to maintain and clean. I don't know whether you agree or not. Let us know in the comments. The engine, I say, is fairly standard, but it's quite high powered. It's the AJ34 4.2 litre 32 valve V8 supercharged engine, which is putting out 400 bhp as standard, so it's no slouch. So what is the plus more then? What makes this Strathstone a little bit more special? Well, as I say, it's this Racing Green badge that it sports on the back. Now, Racing Green modified these cars. If you're not aware who Racing Green are, they're a modification company. They did focus on the XK8, XKR at one point. There's a video 133 on that. If you'd like to take a look, I'll put a link in the top right hand corner. Now, the Racing Green had their own models, the Tempest and the Typhoon, and they're really nice looking and high performance cars. So yeah, that's another video. So if you look inside Andrew's car, the sports leather interior looks very nice place to be. It's all fairly standard for that year at first glance. However, if you look in the center console, there's a little switch. It's actually a steering selection switch, which adds weight to the steering, which is useful at higher speeds, so gives you a bit more stability. There's also in the main instrument cluster a little extra LED readout in there. Now, this actually shows the number of the gear selected by the automatic gearbox. Now, the reason for that is there are actually some extra buttons on the back of the steering wheel to allow you to manually select gears, sort of a flappy paddle. Now, there's a pair of buttons at the top. Now, those change the gears up, and there's a pair at the lower part of the steering wheel, and they change the gears down. Now, it's called F1 Switchshift. It was something Racing Green were adding to cars for a small payment. And in order to trigger it, you needed to press the Sport button down, and then that allowed you to use the gear selector buttons on the back of the steering wheel. If you're interested to know a little bit more detail about that, I've done a video 131, about the F1 Switchshift, at least the sales brochure stuff, if you would. I'm really trying to get down into a bit more detail, which we'll come into in a moment. There'll be a link in the top right hand corner if you're interested in that video. This car could have had even more Racing Green modifications, be it I don't think Andrew's car has any engine performance mods, but Racing Green were quite famous for upgrading the XKR. Here's a list that is from when it was selling bits for the 4-litre engine, taking it up from the XKR up from 380 to 400 or to 430 or to 465 bhp. It was to get to 465. They're actually boring the engine out to 4.4 litres. Now that is a big mod. Anyway, so Racing Green was basically taking car modification very, very seriously. The current value of this car then, a quick dip into this. Number 1 of 30 is actually for sale as we speak on the UK Auto Trader in 2022. He's asking, the owner currently asking for £25,000. I say it's a 2006 model, 06 reg, 4.2 litre S, Strathstone. This also has, it's also number 1, is the first. People like these sort of things, if you're going to get a special edition, get number 1. Yeah, it is worth a little bit more. How much, I'm not really sure. But this also has a lot of Strathstone Racing Green modifications. There was a write-up about this particular car in Jaguar Enthusiast magazine in September 2021. And the car as listed for sale at the moment, it's 60,000 miles. It's been upgraded to 460 bhp. That must be awesome. It does have the switch shift gear change and the other bits and pieces. What you might have noticed with the picture, it doesn't come out that well in the photographs, but it's got a different shark nose bumper as fitted by Racing Green just after it was bought, and methanol injection. This is a serious modified special edition. Somebody's took the best of the line and made it slightly better. Or have they? Anyway, let us know in the comments. So Andrew's car, he says it's had a hard life. He says it's done a few more miles. I mean, these cars do appreciate being driven. Maybe it's not quite quite as much as that. It doesn't have the engine mods, but it's still very highly desirable and a lovely copper black metallic colour. So you're looking at basically the more expensive end of XKR ownership or purchasing. Okay, so last section then, can you help us? I've got 3 questions for you here, technical questions. What I would say is I'm not really looking, or we're not looking for people's opinions or ideas. We're looking for actual facts, documents. There's a lot of different discussions how these things particularly work. We're trying to drill down and find out how it actually all works. So first of all, question 1, how does that steering wheel switch actually work? There's some discussion that it turns a steering pump off, or you pull a fuse out, and it's got a variable weight steering anyway, and it limits it in some way. So does it turn the steering pump off, or does it in fact have an additional damper somewhere added by Racing Green, a bit like high-speed motorcycles have a damper fitted to the steering to help it with high-speed stability? I'm not sure. If you do know, you've got one of these cars and you've looked underneath, or you've worked out where the wires go for the switch, please contact the channel and let us know. We are fascinated. Secondly then, Andrew's manual shift selection isn't working. The buttons behind the steering wheel aren't doing anything at the moment. So Andrew's trying to figure out if he can fix it, and we'd like to help him. And we'd like to understand as well how this actually works. How does it work? So in theory, this is the theory, the left-hand side of the J-gate, as we know, it's a manual gear selection. The right-hand side is automatic gear selection, neutral, reverse, and park. So there's basically 2 different methods of selection on the J-gate. If you look into the mechanics, or electronics in this case, the right-hand side is actually mechanical gear selection through a cable and a linear switch. And the left-hand side is purely electronic. There are micro switches at each of the 4 positions on the 5-speed or 6-speed box to actually tell where the gear stick has been put, and then that electronically changes the gear selected in the gearbox. Now, our understanding is that the F1 Switchshift box piggybacks on that electronic gear selector and then triggers the gear to be changed using the sort of left-hand side of the J-gate, if you would. The problem we have is because the buttons on the steering wheel and the box there has to be isolated, because obviously it's, the steering wheel's spinning around. There's no actual physical wires coming from there to that box. They're not physically connected that I'm aware of. So how do they actually communicate? Now, there is a box as underneath Andrew's steering wheel. As you can see here, it's connected to a bracket, and the other parts of the bracket are connected to the buttons. Now, inside that box, Andrew's took it apart to try and see if we can find any batteries or anything. Can't see anywhere that power could be brought to that box to get that PCB working and somehow transmit to the other one. If you know, please let us know. Or if you've got an F1 Switchshift, could you take that box apart, take a picture, share it with myself and Andrew and other viewers of the channel, so we can work out how this thing should be set up to get it working. I'm thinking it should communicate in some way. As say, get some power to that box, and it communicates the control box on the J-gate, and off you go. You can switch the gears. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'd love to find out the detail. As I say, not just opinion. Finally, in taking it all apart, Andrew's found a little device on the back of his centre armrest. We're not sure if this is something to do with switch shift or reversing sensors, or it could be anything. If you know what it is, or you've got it on your car, please let us know. So just to summarise then, we're requesting help with the following. Number 1, the steering weight switch. What is the method of operation? Number 2, the F1 switch shift buttons. How do they communicate? How do they operate? What is the thing that is there a battery that may have run down that we need to replace somewhere, or Andrew needs to replace? Please let us know. And number 3 then, what is that item on the back of the centre armrest? I say, if you can support the channel and Andrew with fixing his car, with that information, we'd be much appreciated. Thank you to Andrew Graham for helping us make this video. Hope somebody can help us and him to fix his car. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share and subscribe for more XK8 videos.